Right.
How do you keep it 100 and also interact with the world in a way where you convey the message that you exactly want to convey and have it come off how you want it to, but while still being yourself? Like you said, it takes practice. It takes preparation.
Welcome to another episode of Don't Quote Me. Today I've got a special guest. This is my good friend Brendon. We've known each other for, I'd say, close to 15 years.
It is insane that it's been 15 years, but yeah, that's about right.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So we originally met on dance floors in Grand Rapids, Michigan. But before I just start ranting and raving about you, when you're introducing yourself to the world, and especially with the projects that we've been collaborating on recently, how do you introduce yourself right now?
Well, I introduced myself as Brendon Craft. Many people know me as Crafty from the DJ days, which he's not dead. He's just been hibernating for a while.
Maybe a little reinvented?
Yeah, reinvented, right? And that's the whole purpose of Time to Live Again, me at this point. It is a true reintroduction to myself. This wellness thing, this luxury lifestyle content, all of it is encompassed and wrapped up in Time to Live Again. It's me sharing with the world how to look after yourself and how to enjoy this very short amount of time that we have. We've got 80-something rotations, right?
And how do you make the most of that?
Yeah, how do we make the most of that? Time to Live Again is that. We had this big reset with the pandemic. And I think a lot of people went and learned the wrong takeaways from that situation. We had a moment where we were all at home together, looking and focusing on the things that mattered the most to us. And then life just went back to how it was.
Yeah, like the pause didn't actually reprioritize the things that we were going to spend time on. The second the world kind of opened back up, everybody just kind of returned to grind in ways that, in my opinion, are not healthy.
No. For me, this project is a real recentering. I learned the right lessons through the pandemic. I learned that being with my family as much as possible is what I want to do. I learned that taking them on great trips and having these luxury experiences, how the family is just better for that. Everybody's just energized for the next 6 months. We need to keep doing that. We need to do more of that. So that's how I introduce myself.
That's awesome. So, Time to Live Again. It sounds like it's you're starting over in a good way. Like you're actually like, hey, like instead of hitting pause and all this and like abandoning all the lessons that you've learned through the pandemic, and I'd say life up to this point. I mean, it kind of also is sending a signal like, hey, I wasn't living for a little while, and I wasn't actually pursuing the things that light me up or things like that. How did you accidentally let go, or where were the pockets that you actually were like, hey, I'm not putting things out into the world that feel like me anymore? What happened there? How were you not living again before?
Yeah, I think I had a reset, right? Moving to a whole new country. So anyone who knows me from back in America, you haven't seen me in a while, right? Because I now live in Wales in the United Kingdom. And once I got there, I jumped straight into work and trying to reestablish myself in business, and that went really well. And I had this exponential jump kind of in not just earnings, but in cachet within business, and really became a master of my field and craft. And a lot of people knew me, and things just started opening up and opening doors. And I'd gotten so hyper focused on that grind and those earnings that I looked up and, I hadn't released any music since 2018. I hadn't written anything. I had dropped social media because during that process of kind of getting up there, the stuntastic world that we live in was like really putting me in a down state, right? And getting away from that and then restarting has given me a set of perspective, a real ability to kind of look at all of this with a bird's eye view and understand what's good to do from a restraint standpoint. So show this because it's luxury lifestyle, but it's wellness focused, right? Share this post. Don't share that post.
So I want to live on that statement that you just said for just a moment, because I don't think when people hear luxury, they're very quickly not going to be like, that's not wellness because I can't afford that lifestyle. I can't afford luxury. I can't. What that's you're stunt. You're just doing another version of stunt culture. And that could obviously be like a critique that comes to it. Yeah. How do you try to balance like, well, of course that's how anything could be interpreted all the time, but like how do you keep it centered and authentic to you?
Yeah. So I think, and I love that question because it is at the center of every decision I make. Mm-hmm. How do I showcase luxury without alienating or making somebody feel worse off? Mm-hmm. Luxury is just the word itself. Luxury does not mean expensive. Luxury doesn't mean better than someone else's circumstance. Luxury is shameless indulgence in that which brings you pleasure. So this watch might be however many thousand. Mm-hmm. I derive just as much pleasure from a $200 Timex, a $25 Casio. All of these things, whatever it may be, if it brings you joy, and it doesn't need to be materialistic, it could just be sitting in the park meditating or taking in a moment for mindfulness. Mindfulness and appreciation is really at the center of every one of these decisions. So I express it in this way, but when you read my writing, it's actually not about how expensive something is. You know, I was just writing about the eggs that I had for breakfast at the hotel, and it's actually, they were so perfectly cooked that I wouldn't adulterate them or pervert them in any way with salt and pepper. I wouldn't.
You're like,
dream
this
of
is
it,
too good.
right?
It doesn't need anything else.
Yeah, I know the price of eggs is high, but I wouldn't consider them a luxury item. You know,
I love that. So, luxury to you is much more of like how you're viewing an experience, and not necessarily the money that you're spending on that experience.
Exactly.
I think that's a really helpful framework because, this. I mean, everybody's turning their neck at something or like looking back at someone and being like, oh, I don't want to live like that, or that's not for me, or some of this materialistic side of things is just like completely hollow. And the reality is, I think we all have our things, like literal material things that we like, in different formats, and some of us will spend far more than others in regards to like getting after that thing, but it's not necessarily, again, about the dollars you're spending. It's about where your focus is with that experience.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly that. You have to be aware of your life and what you're doing, as much of it as possible. I almost feel like I'm in this race with time. You know, time is a big focus for me, not just in watches, but just how much of it we have. I don't want to die. I don't want to go. I want to be here. I want to see my kids smile as long as I possibly can. I want to eat breakfast like I had. I'm slowing it down. I'm drinking in every second that I possibly can, and I'm stopping and smelling the roses for the first time in my life. I never have done it.
Really?
I've never done it.
Really? Okay, so I'm thinking of a bunch of like Emerson quotes around walking and being in nature and walking around a pond. So time to live again is kind of like your cabin in the woods where you're going to like actually build a habit of presence.
Yes.
So like it's like your ability. This is like how I'm trying to view the world in a way that's like, hey, I know that this time is limited, and I want to pay attention to every second of it. And I love that you keep returning to your family, because I think that's one of the reasons why I initially even sent you some Instagram messages, because I could sense even in your writing and in some of your podcast readings, for instance, where I was like, this is bent towards a non-me vantage point. It was really filtered through, oh, I have daughters, I have a wife, I have a life that I've built, and all of this stuff is in service to them.
Yes.
However, I also need to be awake and present to it in a new way, because how I was doing it before isn't sustainable.
And if I'm honest, I don't think you can do your best for others and be in great service to those people that you love and that you cherish so much if you are operating or you're existing in a way that stops you from looking after yourself. So I liken it to having a longer candle wick, if you will.
Okay.
the mindfulness, the meditation, the sitting in the garden, the planting, the growing flowers in the garden, and you know, pruning with my daughters. Those things give me a longer wick. They give me more patience. They give me more presence. They allow me to just stop and be in the moment, and to almost operate like Neo in the Matrix, if you will, right? Where all the agents and all these things are.
He's slowing the bullets down. Yeah. Just puts his hand out and everything freezes. Yeah.
And I mean, you know me, and you've seen me in animated moments, frustrated moments, happy moments, and I think I love me. I love who I am, but I'm always trying to manage that chaos and that person, because that having perspective on operating as me in the best way possible gives me the best outcomes. And the me who's present, who's able to have a longer wick, who's able to enjoy myself and slow life down, that's a me I'm proud of, right? I wasn't always proud of the other guy.
Okay. Why weren't you proud of the other guy?
I think I found myself operating at a high level. Everything works that I tend to do. Right? Things work, and I work really, really hard to make everything work. I mean, you saw me lugging speakers
So much
across
gear,
Grand Rapids
so
for
many-
years.
Yes, yeah. I mean, just yes.
Right? And you saw me on, you know, day one bar nights where, you know, it was a dead crowd, and then, you know, 3 weeks later it's packed and people can't get through the doors. To turn things around and make things work to the degree that I've been able to do in my life, it takes a lot of grind and a lot of frustration. How I channel that frustration and where it shows itself. I've not always been happy with the moments or the times that it comes out, right? Or those very quick cutting moments where someone's in my way, and you know, you've got that kind of red type personality where everything's great, and then all of a sudden someone gives you bad news and you blow up a bit, right?
Right.
I'm happy to say I haven't been that way since 6 months before Time to Live Again started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost as if like when you started to reorient internally and get into some more of those mindfulness practices, you were able to actually kind of recontextualize your life.
Yeah.
And actually like to filter like, because of course there's always going to be moments that are going to piss us the fuck off.
Right.
That life does have a tendency of throwing things at us that we are not prepared for on any level. But it's kind of how you handle those moments.
Yeah.
Instead of just letting those moments dictate your behavior. You know, I'm trying to remember the Viktor Frankl quote where there's a moment between the event happening and your response to that event, and in between those two moments is where character lives.
Yes.
And I think I'm butchering the quote a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that's the heart of it.
Idea, though, yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like before, maybe the gap between the event or experience and then your reaction time to it was wicked short. And
There was no gap.
There was no gap.
There was no gap.
And now you've actually been able to expand that a little bit to actually have some agency of like, how am I going to respond to this now?
I think I have a longer gap than most now, and maybe even some talented people at it. And it's something I've worked on. But it started to lengthen when I would take a moment and just watch a Bond movie, and when I made the time, gave myself permission to just not
Enjoy
be
something?
the grind guy for a moment, right? To just go out in the garden and play with my kids, to pet the cat, you know, just to take a minute, because I was 24/7.
Really?
I'd wake up and I would go, this is what we need to do today. And like that, everyone does that. But what time does it stop? It didn't stop for me. Even in those chill moments, it was still going. You know, the machine was still going at all times. And I think moving to a new country is stressful, right? But even in Grand Rapids, I was like that, right?
That's crazy. I mean, I like the best part is like, you know, you never know what's going on inside someone else's head. Like in my experiences of you, even back in the day in GR, it would have never been like, this dude is stressed out, or he's like actually grinding on a level that is like, you know, it maybe in the long run isn't sustainable for him or something like that, because you've always been a joy to be around. But like, this is the crazy part about everyone's personal experience internally that's different. And I think one of the reasons why we enjoy collaborating on this kind of stuff is I think you and I have a we're cut from the same cloth, especially around family, especially around like what matters most in life, but still have a huge desire to like impact the world and like actually help shape perspective and actually change perspectives, because we've had those experiences that have helped alter our own trajectories and our own perspectives into new avenues that are healthier for us than previously. And I cannot tell you how much I resonate with the learning how to take care of yourself so that you can actually take care of others more. Because I definitely have gone in different seasons where I've completely abandoned whatever my needs are in the past and had to like relearn how to be like, oh yeah, I like going out with a couple friends and just sitting at a bar for a little while. I don't need to go out like I used to. I don't need to go crazy. I don't need to like jump on bars and do all that kind of stuff anymore. But you know what? I don't mind starting a dance party on the rooftop in Berlin.
Yeah, as we do.
As we just did last night. Like, I don't mind that moment because we're on top of this ancient like government building that has like crazy like stonework on it, and we're just on the rooftop, and there's this DJ here, and like there's like, you know, two people dancing next to their table and no one else, and we're like, we could dance.
Yeah.
And we started my siblings, the party. And then we started dancing. Like those moments I'm like, oh yeah, I like doing this.
Yes.
And it's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And I don't think, and I really appreciate you saying I'm a joy to be around and that I've been a joy to be around. I think that's generally most people's perspective. But like you said, what was going on in my head at all times is, how am I managing my relationships? Are people happy? Am I people pleasing? Or, you know, are people going to help open doors at all times? It's how to win friends and influence people. It's important, but it should be organic.
Right.
It should be organic. And you know, as you said about us having this mission and this goal of helping the world, I think a lot of the world's issues, especially the male loneliness and the problems that we find in that space, and the rise of different movements that are harmful, let's say that for now, are all centered around a lack of appreciation and a lack of wellness and understanding of how to move through the world in a joyful way.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, and I the only way that we can address those is actually by modeling on some level. And I mean, like, I'd say even this trip, and the funny thing is they're like, what are they talking about? We're currently in Berlin, Germany right now. We're at the Mandela Hotel. Yeah, this is, we're in Brendon's hotel space. But yesterday you flew in because I'm here on a family trip.
Yeah.
My brother is a trample artist, and he's been at the Palace for the last 2 years performing, which I'm hoping you get to go see the show tonight. But like, this all kind of happened circumstantially. Like, I texted you a week ago, like, hey, you want to come to Berlin? And you just like, but like, all that feeds into, this is something that brings us life and joy. And I haven't done a trip like this since I was like in high school. I haven't been out of the country for travel, and I've had the best week. It is today Friday? Today is Friday.
Today's Friday.
We've been here since Sunday of last week. We started in Copenhagen. We're now in Berlin. We spent a good time here, but then like you joined up with us. We went out to dinner.
Yeah.
And we went out, and then we were able to walk around the city. And today we're going to be going out to a lake. You're going to go see a show, and then we're going to go out tonight too. And it's just like, we're doing things that are actually bring adventure and a sense of like, it's generative. It feels like it's actually filling the cup up so that I can go back to my life and actually give more than I'm taking.
Yes. Always say yes to adventure, otherwise you'll lead a very dull life. Ian Fleming. And when you messaged me, I thought, oh, that's a quick swing. That is a quick swing. Can I pull that off? Of course I can pull that off. I've done harder. And my wife, you know, you would think that, you know, when I've got 2 kids and, you know, an impromptu trip like that you know, your partner would go, hey, let's slow down, let's pump the brakes here. Wait, what are the details? She said, oh, you need a trip. Go, enjoy yourself. We got it. We got this.
Dang, that was the first response.
That was her first response. That was her first response, and I think she also recognizes in me, hey, it's, you know, let's go back to the jug and let's fill up that cup, right? Like, you know, let's keep it full, because you look after everybody and you work hard, and at times you need to just do these sorts of things. You do.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick pivot on us, mostly because I want people to understand a little bit of your taste level, what you're into, some of the veins that you kind of live within when it comes to watches and taste. And but first, let's talk about your current favorite champagne.
Ooh, I would say I don't know if I have a specific brand. Maybe Veuve Clicquot.
Okay.
Maybe. I tend to try and buy champagne or sparkling based on the grapes.
Okay.
So Blanc de Noir, blacks of whites, or whites of blacks,
Yeah.
is my go-to.
Okay.
I just like the flavor profile, very ripe red fruits, sweet, but without getting into that rosé space.
Okay. Okay. When you are going out on a Friday evening, what are you putting on your wrists?
Depends on where I'm going. Generally, my wife and I go to the same pub. It's a place called the Angel Hotel in Abergavenny.
Okay.
Love it. Love that place. If I'm in the Fox Hunter Bar, which is like a little bit more, not rough and tumble, but it's English countryside aesthetic.
Okay.
I tend to wear this guy, which is the Tudor Black Bay
Okay.
a dive watch or something a little bit. Something that can take a knock if I bump it into a nice wood table.
Okay.
When we dine in the Oak Room, I tend to wear something vintage. So my gold Omega Seamaster,
Okay.
1974-ish, circa, or my Tudor Oyster Prince, which is the same as the new Oyster Perpetuals that Rolex make.
For the record, I don't know as much as him about watches. I know those brands, but like the specifics of it, he's been educating me. I love it because like I'm now like getting introduced to this world around watches that I had no clue. And I didn't realize how vast.
Oh.
And it's like the funny part is it's cool, but it's also just as nerdy as someone that like is into comics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's on the same
I was
level.
never into comics in high school.
It's on the same level to me in regards to like, if you know, you know. And then it very much is like a deep dive into that world. But what's your everyday though? Like if you were like, oh, if I'm like just working, like what I know that you kind of go on rotation with some of your watches.
Yeah.
But like if you were just like say, oh yeah, this is my favorite like every day.
Yeah.
What would you say that is?
Longines. Anything Longines. I personally feel like 39 millimeter.
Okay.
So anything between 36 and 39 millimeters is the sweet spot for day to day.
Okay.
Right? Because you forget that it's on your wrist. It's not big. This is a 41.
Okay.
And
so it's just a little smaller.
it's just a little bit smaller. Generally, you're going to get a thinner case as well.
Okay.
With
So
those.
it's gonna not sit as high on your wrist as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole goal
I'm
is that
getting a little bit.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. The goal is that it slides underneath the cuff, right?
Okay.
So dress
Oh,
shirt
yeah,
slides
yeah.
easily underneath the cuff. This will, but you have to be really, you have to try them on and then like see if it'll fit underneath your cuffs, right? Longines, the oldest Swiss trademark, I believe,
Okay.
in of all of them, like not just in watches, but the oldest Swiss trademark, I
Really?
believe. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Longines is underrated, so they are not as expensive as they should be. They are underneath the Swatch group, so you're getting very close to Omega level quality and taste level, but it's actually older.
Wow, that's kind of awesome. I now I need to like go do some deep dive into Longines because I don't know enough.
Longines, you owe me some money.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, now I want to talk about a little bit when it comes to music. What's on rotation right now? I'm looking for one that you're sitting in your garden. What are you listening to when you're in your garden? 2, what are you listening at when you're in between your work meetings and you need to hype yourself up for the next meeting? And then 3, what do you listen to with your kids?
Okay, let me see if I can do them in order. Okay,
right.
so garden music.
Yep.
I'm a big James Bond nerd. I
Okay.
love James Bond. I love Ian Fleming. I love that aesthetic. I've got a Sunspell camp collar shirt on for a reason, right? Because this is very GoldenEye, Ian Fleming, but the new version of it with a little bit more streetwear vibe. When I'm in the garden wearing a shirt like this, I'm always listening to Shirley Bassey, Tom Jones, old Bond themes.
Okay.
Or just orchestral Royal Philharmonic Bond
Okay.
music. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Almost like in the classical vein. Like
Yeah,
it's that,
yeah.
yeah.
That's definitely what I play in the garden.
It feels appropriate for the plants.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. The plants probably are also like, oh, thank you.
They don't need to listen to OT Genesis.
Yeah.
Which I would say Everybody Mad is what I listen to in between work meetings or when I get a purchase order in and I see the commission check hit.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody
Why don't you
mad?
go get you some money?
Yeah. I love that. Okay, but
Yeah.
now with the daughters though, like
Yeah.
that's obviously going to be a different thing.
So I don't get to choose.
You don't get to choose at all.
I'm pretty sure it's Disney music on rotation at all times. Unfortunately, Frozen.
Frozen
plays
is
a lot.
where.
Yeah, for me, I'm usually rapping the "You're Welcome" Maui.
Yeah.
Maui
So,
verse.
okay. Yeah. So you can at least you don't have to stay in the Frozen territory forever. You can pivot them into other Disney princesses songs.
Yeah, they love Diana Ross and they love disco stuff because they go to dance class every day with mom.
So that's
right?
helpful.
Yeah.
That keeps it so your brain isn't going completely into melted territory.
Yeah, I you know what? I love all the Disney music. The kids just recently saw the Goofy movie.
Dude.
They
Talk
just,
about an underrated soundtrack.
Oh, Tevin Campbell.
Oh my gosh.
Tevin Campbell.
The singers in that are unreal.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? So it's been great because the kids have been asking to play that
That's
music,
cool.
and that's good, right?
That's really good. Now I've got the dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's stuck in my head. I love the Goofy movie.
So good.
The perfect cast. I just like the second time recently, like one of my clients, he was trying to teach somebody how to cast in fly fishing, and the guy was like, "Oh, like a Goofy movie," and the guy was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And me and the other guy, camera guy, were like, me and Dominic were like, "You don't know the Goofy movie?
Know the Goofy movie?
You got to know the Goofy movie. It's so fun." Okay.
I love this conversation because I think that people are so managed and so stoic in their presence these days. And one big mission for me in a way of modeling is being my actual authentic self.
Yeah.
Not trying to be the James Bond version of me or trying to be the Drake version of me or the, you never get to see behind the curtain me. I don't think that the people who are resonating the best with people on social media at the moment are like that.
No. Well, I would liken it to authenticity is going to be like the only thing that's left online. And like you can obviously do your best to fake that, but people smell it and they see it and they always have. When I'm talking with clients or if I'm working with someone that doesn't really understand social or doesn't really understand this medium and they're still trying to construct every single frame or try to construct every single moment or feeling, you can obviously build towards things, but the moments that shine are always the moments where someone is just being themselves and actually giving a strong point of view of what that means to them. And I don't really know, I've never known how to do it a different way. Because I think it mostly just because of how I'm one of 12 kids. I'm the oldest boy of that family. And like we had to forge our identities or else we weren't going to survive because there were so many of us.
Oh man. It's like my dad, right? It's very similar, that number of brothers and sisters. And you guys are all really just so authentic and so open with who you are. And I think for me as the younger brother, right, the little guy in the family, I'm the opposite of that, or I have been, where I've always felt like I've always had a template and I could decide to be this version of myself or, put this lens or tint on me. And I think one of the reasons why I probably have been able to be someone that people say, oh, he's joy to be around is because I've exercise that chameleon thing, and there's a benefit to that, but there's also a risk of looking up and going, who am I?
Right.
And what's the true authentic me? And I think for the first time again with Time to Live Again and maybe a year or two before, I started to realize, oh, no, I have a central me. There is a way that I react to things. There is just an ethos that I live by, and I don't need to do a version of that. I can have these kind of conversations and just be goofy, be playful, be serious when I need to be. And
Well, I think that comes, go back to what you said about luxury. I think true luxury is having the ability to be yourself in any room at any time. That to me will supersede any stunting suit and tie and watch and cufflink and whatever. That person will never stand up to someone that's just wearing shorts and a t-shirt, but is like full of life and fully present and like that radiates. Like that authenticity radiates to other people. It always has.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's a dude, Eddie Q, who worked for Apple. I don't know if he's still at Apple, but he was, executive team, and he used to wear Hawaiian shirts and just like show up on the keynotes like slightly disheveled, but he was just funny, and his personality radiated in a way that rivaled Steve Jobs. He was like a fan favorite for all of us Apple nerds. And that's because he was just his true, authentic self. He looked like sometimes he was coming off of a bender, right? You'd see him on the keynote stage, and he just would look like, "What were you doing yesterday?"
Crazy,
yeah. And that always resonated with me and all the fanboys in a way that some of the more like just white collar, clean.
This is now the next part
team.
of this presentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's impressive, but it doesn't connect. We need that authenticity.
Yeah, well, I think for me, like going to like speaking of like the social realm and like the media and even like this kind of conversation, I liken it to the TikTokification of everything. Because when TikTok came online, especially during the pandemic, it changed how we viewed all of the social platforms. Because all of a sudden, people are literally just making faces into a camera and doing goofy dances.
Yes.
And getting millions of views because they're just being silly.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, that's literally how it started. It wasn't the vlogging. It wasn't the Casey Neistat on YouTube. It wasn't like the daily vloggers that were just like documenting every single moment of every single day. It was like these little short form moments where people got peeks into just normal life. And by the way, if you try to dress up fully and do all of your makeup and do all the things right on TikTok, they don't do as well as someone that is like literally got a side bun and like just woke up but they're lip syncing to a random song. Those do better, because it feels real.
It comes full circle, when you think about the loneliness epidemic that we have, and it's not just male loneliness. People are lonely. They're craving that connection, and they want real, authentic people to connect with online.
Yes.
Even if they don't know them, even if they don't speak in the comment section, they want to feel like there's somebody really representing a real person with a side bun, with a messy hat, with the sweat stains. Like, they don't care. They just want real human connection.
Right. And that doesn't mean that you can't put a benchmark and or a thing to strive towards.
Yes.
And I think that's also like both sides of the time to live again is like authenticity, but also like, hey, my taste is like, I like these things and I like these types of things.
Yeah.
They might be viewed as luxurious. Ian Fleming and James Bond obviously is literally top of the top when it comes to cars, watches, the whole nine. Like, but that's okay because that is also a part of life.
Yeah.
And also like, if you enjoy them, cool. Also, if you don't, okay.
Yeah,
There's other options.
There's other options.
I did want to, speaking of that side of it, one of the taglines that we've used is like GQ for intellectuals. How does that big bold statement, obviously too? How do you what's the intellectual side mean to you with that? Because it's not just reading novels about spies. No. And you mentioned it a little bit when it comes to the wellness side of things. But like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, this isn't to take a shot at GQ either.
No.
GQ helped me as a young man establish my style and understand what a publication that plays in this space can really do. But I think that it's the corporatization that I'm trying to get away from. I don't want, here's 10 ways that you can do blah, blah, blah. Here's, this, and this is an opportunity for us to just paste 10 affiliate links, right? I don't want to do that. I want tasteful curation of gear, talking about books, talking about lifestyle and relationships. So all of those things exist in GQ. I think Playboy actually had some really funny write-ups as well that they did over time.
Weirdly, Esquire is really good at some of those, especially in their long-form articles.
Yeah, exactly. And it's taste-making. It's all of the stuff, and I know that, I think I did the metrics the other day, 87% of my audience is male, right? So I have to recognize that, right? So it's a more tasteful and a more selected way of curating and speaking to gentlemen.
I love that. Well, I think the curated side, for me, especially around intellectualism itself, is like, are you being thoughtful, and are you actually thinking through this, and you're not just blindly following something? Because obviously there's templates out there that you can follow. Here's the 10 watches that you need if you're going out on a Friday night.
Yeah.
You don't need 10 watches to go out on a Friday night.
I don't own 10 watches, and I'm a watch guy.
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, that doesn't apply to anybody.
Yeah.
Unless you're like on a different level, which even then, well, I'm not modeling after that. That's not something that's attainable. You know what I mean? So what is how are you bringing your authentic self to these different moments in the most thoughtful way? And I would take it even further and be like, are you actually educated? And do you actually have a point of view that's informed? Because I don't think either of us are trying to just shout about things that we don't know anything about, like, at all. Because the second we step into that territory, it will feel disingenuous to you or me. And that, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So like that to me is part of the intellectual side of this, is like, hey, do you know yourself well enough? And can you actually speak to some of these things? And if you can't, zip it.
Yeah. I was recently having a conversation with somebody close to me, and they were getting into some sketchy political territory. Mm-hmm. I keep up on politics, but it's not my life. Mm-hmm. When it comes to that stuff, I'm very quick now to say one very specific phrase. What's the data on that? Mm-hmm. No one ever has the data. Mm-hmm. And it's a great opportunity for you to say, well, I don't want to misspeak. We don't need to misspeak on this. Mm-hmm. Let's save it until we have the data. Mm-hmm. And no one's ever going to go get the data. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very true.
It helps you to preserve a relationship. I don't want to talk about anything I don't know.
Right.
I want to talk about the things I know. Mm-hmm.
And that's hard. I mean, and then that list will get short quick.
Yeah.
Because everybody, we only know a certain amount of things. And even the things that, at least if you're a real intellectual, in my opinion, even the things you really know a lot about typically need to be followed with, from this is just what I know about this or what I've learned about this. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that anyone that, in my opinion, and any intellectual that I've ever followed, from authors, philosophers, theologians, the whole nine, most of them have a moment of, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I could, but this is my POV on it. It's because to think that you know everything about something immediately kind of puts like a mistrust with that person, because then you're touting things that are absolutes, and we all know, like, at this stage, like, absolutes are, it's a really comfy territory, but good luck with that.
Yeah, can't.
Life has a way of like blowing absolutes up.
I mean, you can go back and read anything from 50 years ago and kind of recognize that, oh, this is dated. We've learned a lot more since then, or, ooh, that's a fashion faux pas now that we would never do, because some tastemaker really showed us a logic behind why that's not okay to do, why you don't wear that blue with that black or whatever, right? And that rule will be turned again on its head. So if you want to be timeless, you have to operate with the understanding and assumption that things will change at some point.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm trying to remember if I asked you the taste ones. Okay. Where are you hoping Time to Live Again, what does it look like to you in 3 years from now?
That is a great question. In 3 years from now, I would like Time to Live Again to have a few contractors that work with us, writing daily posts, 3-4 posts a day, as far as articles go, sponsored content, working with places like the Mandala Hotel. I want it to really I want it to stay small, but I want it to scale in the same way. I want it to feel comfy and cozy, and I want it to feel like something that it's like your really good friend who's just doing a bit better than they were before, right? But I want it to always stay personal. I will always be writing for it. As long as it's a thing, I will be contributing,
Cool.
Even when I...
Managing editor?
Yeah, managing editor, because...
Contributing managing editor.
Contributing managing
there
editor.
It is, yeah.
Right? No matter what my position in the organization looks like, no matter how big or small it is at the time, I will be writing. Because writing it's now my calling, and it's really cool, right? A lot of people have heard me rap. I'm a good rapper. at the center of that is good writing, and shifting that creative focus into long form audio and blog posts and 5-minute reads, I get the exact same pleasure.
Really?
And it lights up that exact same spot in my brain.
I don't think you've ever told me that, which is like, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I still will rap, but I don't want to make a career out of rapping necessarily. I'd like it to be a thing that I do for fun. I found it incredibly stifling to try and turn rapping into something that could be monetized. And I was monetizing it pretty well. I'd figured out some different ways to do that, but it wasn't fun because what people purchase and what the marketplace is looking for in rap at the time that I was doing it was driving my creative decisions rather than my creative decisions being at the forefront. Whereas with Time to Live Again, it is fully my brainchild. It's what I do it's my brain on the page, and then people come and get it, and that's cool to me. That's what I want,
That makes sense. So it sounds like a media publication. It's primarily digital.
Primarily digital. I would like to be doing, and speak it into existence and it'll happen, right? I'd like to have some membership type stuff, right? Where we do, Christmas cards and maybe some gift boxes for people and, for subscribers and an actual physical component to this, right? Very similar to what Benjamin Egger is doing, right? Where you get this really nice box and there's this curated experience. And I'd like that to be a thing as well, right?
Cool. I love that. Yeah, I love that. Also, shout out Ben. It's always good to talk about him. That dude is such
he's incredible,
unbelievable designer. It's every time I hear him talk about it, I'm like, your brain works different than everybody's.
Yeah. I mean, I owe him a lot when it comes to helping me to make my taste, right? I've spent a lot of time with that guy, and a lot of his taste level and his understanding of design and creation and process. I got to go to school with him in a way, like that Virgil style. I learned a lot from that time with Ben.
Dude, shout out Virgil, especially. Talk about a template there. Whoa.
Yeah.
Dude. Ugh. His name comes up a lot. All the time. It's incredible. So, all right. What do you wish that I would have asked you about Time to Live Again?
That's a difficult question because you're a part of it.
I know.
What do I want to say about Time to Live Again that I haven't said already?
Yeah.
It will change, but not much. It will always feel like this because I like how it feels now. I like the way that I like the aesthetic. I like the simplicity of it. But there will be change. The site will look a little bit different. The site will have something that's like tabs. I'm in this interesting spot of trying to figure out how to create a different style of navigation for the site because I don't want it to be tabs where you hit gear and then you see all the gear. I don't want it to be one fully endless scroll like Uncrate either. I'd like a navigation system, but I want it to look clean and I want it to feel organic. I want it to be Apple. I want it to be native and intuitive.
Okay.
So we're figuring that out.
Cool.
That's probably it. I think.
Okay.
It's for everybody. It's for everybody. It's not just for men. Some of the maybe it's the thirst trap shave video I did, but women have said that this stuff resonates with them as well, right?
Cool. Well, I think women in general want to hear perspectives from men that are secure in themselves and actually have a point of view and aren't trying to just fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no interest in that. I'm married, and
yeah. That might be too much for this. We might have to edit that part out.
But, we'll bleep it.
Yeah.
No, I just want to be friends. I think at the end of the day, it's a space to create friends, and this is your friend 1,000%. Who's tastefully oversharing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Who's giving you a little bit more of an understanding of how they live their life versus your other friends. For the first time in my life, I'm being radically authentic. And even since the project started, you've seen probably a shift in the way that I write and what I I
feel like you've gotten more comfortable.
I've gotten more comfortable. I've gotten less actory, right? In a way, right, where I think I started out very writing from the perspective of I'm Ian Fleming. I'm Ian Fleming here. This is Brendon Ian Fleming, and now Brendon Craft, Brendon I'm Ian here, has his own voice, which acknowledges and pays tribute to some of those great authors that I've read in my life.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think even in our conversations that we've had, because we've done a couple podcasts at this point together, and I think even the more that we've done them, I've seen you get more at ease with actually giving how you really feel about something. But I mean, like like anything, all of this stuff takes practice. I think everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm always authentic. I think a lot of people have to actually practice at it. Like, and instead of doing what I should do, what is it that I actually feel about this situation? What is it that I actually want to contribute to this conversation instead of this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
I think we get in trouble quickly if we're just always doing what we're supposed to be doing, because that's where life can lead to a hollow spot where you don't feel like you're alive anymore.
Yes.
And it can feel like you're not actually living the life that you've always dreamt of living. You're just kind of stuck on this expectation wheel that hollows you out.
Oh, 100%. I couldn't say that better. We get stifled by playing the roles that have been given to us or that we've decided that we're going to play in the world. And people say keep it 100 or be authentic, but when they look in the mirror, they know that's not actually how they interact or interface with this space. It's not. That's keeping it 100 within a role.
Right.
How do you keep it 100 and also interact with the world in a way where you convey the message that you exactly want to convey and have it come off how you want it to, but while still being yourself? Like you said, it takes practice. It takes preparation. It takes conversations like this. It takes making mistakes. And then editing, self-editing, not just in the post process, but actually going, hey, that didn't come off the way I wanted it to, or
I didn't actually mean it like that.
I didn't mean it like that, or oh, you know what, I could say that more succinctly. That's something I'm working on. Saying
I try that all day, every day, because I can. Once I start yapping, I'm pretty good at it. I can yap all day.
Yeah, well, you're a great editor for me, right? You've helped me to do that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. What I'm trying to think. Do you have any questions for me? I normally this is a little bit different because of the fact that we're talking about time to live again, and I sent you a DM on Instagram like after I think you one of your first podcast readings or something like that. I was like, hey, I'm a big fan of this. How can I help? How can I contribute? Let's get together. And we very quickly got on a video call, and it was very, very fast. I was like, oh, actually, we can. I wrote an article, a book review, and then I read for that, and then we did a podcast and all those. I think I still owe you some more book reviews. Actually,
you owe me one.
Yeah, I definitely do.
However, I need to tell you, you got a compliment from a random person at the bookshop in Cardiff.
What?
Yeah, I was picking up Dr. No.
Okay.
The Percival Everett one.
Yeah.
And I was talking about James.
Yeah, the novel. Yeah. Oh my God, I still get talked. It's such a good book.
It felt so cool to be able to share with the person who was there. She's like, "Oh, have you read him?" I said, "I'm working on it currently. Right now, I'm working on it. But I actually have a book review up on my blog, Time to Live Again, which was written by my good friend and site contributor, Kate and Vance." And she asked me, she said, did you kind of assign him that? And I said, oh no, I didn't assign it. He came to me with it. And she said, that is an incredible person who would volunteer to write a book review for a blog on this. I'm going to check it out. And
sweet.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Right. That's
cool.
It was just, it's those little moments of like, that is really gratifying and feels really cool. And I've been meaning to share that with you. And I just keep forgetting to bring it up because we're always talking about so many things. But yeah, it was quite cool. So I needed to share that with you.
Well, AB and his wife, they both read the novel because of that book review. So I was just like, there's been a couple moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the whole point. I regularly get asked, especially in the local bookstores in Grand Rapids, and it even happened when was I in Denver? Yeah. I'll start talking about books with whoever I'm there with, and the bookstore owner or whoever's working will hear something about a book that they have not necessarily heard, and then they'll get out their little card and be like, "Would you be willing to write a little snippet about the book?" And we'll put it as like a community recommendation thing.
Cool.
I love like the little do they know if they asked me to do it with like every book that I know in that space, I would every single time, because I love being like, you have to read this. Here's the 10 reasons why you need to read this, or whatever. You know what I mean? Because it's sharing my love for books has always been something that is, I could do it forever. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
I do have one question for you.
Okay.
As a contributor and part of this Time to Live Again project, where do you see it going, and what do you think should happen with the project?
Great question. I honestly, this is a fine line. So the reason why I'm a big fan of this is because I see that you have a vision for it, that it can be its own vehicle in helping people live again. That's my simplest answer. However, I do view it as something that it can have a meaningful impact in men's lives, specifically around helping them to live life in their own way through media, writing, recommendations, and like lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
So I see all of those things happening within the writing. So to me, it's like, all right, how do we do that online? And can we create a blog and something that's regularly churning out articles that feels like it's chipping away at that mission? Are we having conversations on the podcast that are tied to those things and actually expansive and generative? Are we bringing in people that have actual points of view about taste, aesthetic, and intellectual ideas that go beyond, oh, I like this because it tastes good. Okay, whatever. Like Taco Bell also tastes good, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so how do you how do we continue to like evolve this in a way that like expands who's welcome into the circle, but like going back to what you said about keeping it small from a team perspective, but like how can the readers and the subscribers and the people that are consuming the content also feel included?
Yeah. I think we're on the same page in that way, and I think you're going to be pivotal and instrumental in helping that. I love this project because every other project I've ever done, it's always been, I do all the development behind the scenes, and then it comes to you when it's ready and it's perfect, and I like kind of not the messiness, but the figuring it out in front of people and with their help. And
it's building as it's going.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. I think it's so liberating to not have to be that way on this project.
Well, I mean, I think it's more true. Typically, things are curated to the point of like, and that to each their own. Like, because everybody does do this differently.
Yeah.
And some people don't like watching the process as it's happening.
No.
They want the finalized watch on their wrist, and they don't give a shit about all the inner workings of it or how it was made or whatever. Cool.
Yeah.
I am of the ilk that I'm like, I want to see the documentation of how that sucker came into reality before I even look at the final result. Yeah. I like that. I like the messiness. I like the honesty of it. I like all of it. I've never not liked process. And to me, the process has always been the prize. Like, it's, again, I love a finished novel, but when did that sucker first enter that author's head? Yeah. And what research did they have to do to get there? And all those, I eat that stuff up. Yeah. So, and the same goes for behind the scenes of a movie, behind the scenes of how a vlog series went. I've always loved that peek behind the curtain. And the reality is, I think that's actually where a lot of life happens. And so for me, I'm like, oh, we're showcasing behind the curtain, because that, if anything, there is no curtain.
Right. Yeah, there's no curtain.
We're not pulling any strings here. It's like we're the ones pulling the levers.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it. Yeah.
Well, there's no other editors. We're not shipping the work out to someone else. It's us.
Yeah, and I do like that. I do like that Rolexification of things, where certain brands are that way, and you're like, oh, there's so much magic. How does that happen?
Right.
Disney's like that, right?
Oh my gosh.
The Apple Store is like that. There are these spaces that are like that. But there are also brands like Christopher Ward, one of my favorite watch companies, who drop a watch, the Trident, whatever, and 2 years later they get all this feedback and people are really happy with the watch, but they wish it had this spec or this spec. They wish it had a Salida SW200 instead of whatever version of whatever movement it has, and they change it, and they go,
They
"Oh, this is the
actually
new
get feedback,
version."
yeah.
And you know they're active online.
That's cool.
People really like that. People didn't like that the old logo that they had. It was just the name Christopher Ward on the dial, and they didn't like the way that looked, and they didn't want a name on the watch dial. So they
switched it.
They just changed it to like like a iteration of the Swiss flag. Like it's really cool, and people were just happy with that. And
That's a proper feedback loop with your customers.
Yeah.
That's how most brands should be. And obviously, like, again, to each their own. However, if you have an intimate relationship with your audience and there's people that are actually fans and they're actually supporting it, they absolutely should have a say in how that affects them.
yeah, and they would not have scaled to the degree that they have. They would not be on that top 10 watch list with the likes of Rolex and Tudor and Omega had they not gone that way. So if you have something to share, if you have something that you want to put out there in the world, do it the way that you want to.
Yes.
And just lean into that. Go hard at your model, whatever it is.
Yes.
If you can't do the whole behind the curtain thing, or it takes you too long to get stuff out, do it the other way. Just do it.
I think, yeah. I mean, like, we're both sounding like Shia LaBeouf here if we keep saying, but like just do it. But it's the truth, and also, I think that is every good artist that I know has said to me at some point, just start.
Yeah.
And I think everyone that I've ever met in my life does have a dream, does have an idea, does have something that they want to offer to the world. But there's always this fear of just starting because I don't have the right equipment, I don't have the right tools, I don't have the right resources, I don't have the right mentors, that list can actually be endless. I know for a fact that I don't know everything about a media company. Have I been around and serviced a ton of media companies at this point in my career? 1,000%.
Yes.
Like, do I know enough to like help contribute to a media company? Yeah. Why shouldn't I just go then? And like, I know that I can figure it out along the way because most of life has been like that for me, and I've gotten really good at being comfortable in mysterious realms because I'm no longer like, my livelihood isn't dependent on if this person responds well to me anymore.
Yeah.
This is a collaboration. It's not something where it's like, if all of a sudden you don't like something, my entire personality and who I am is going to crumble into non-existence. Like,
Exactly.
Your point of view I value, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to abandon my own because of that. No. Like, that to me is where like I'm cozy in those zones, and like I want more people to get to a spot where they're like, oh, I'm going to go after this because it, like, as you said earlier, for you, it feels good to me, and this is what I want to bring to the world. And I think that is where the sweet stuff lies for everyone. Of course, it'd be great if we could hire 8 writers tomorrow and like set them off to the races with 8 different verticals of content.
Yeah.
Cool. It's going to take some time.
That's going to take some time.
That's going to take some time.
It's going to take some time. And I think people don't start because they see the finish line is so far away. But maybe just work not towards the finish line, but towards the journey itself, right?
Yes.
As a runner, you know that,
Oh
right?
my God.
It's about the run. It's not about the time. There's time to work on the time thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually about going on the run.
Oh, and the best runners on the planet know that sometimes you have to run a 12-minute mile, not a 6, because that's what your body needs.
That's what your body
needs. And just moving forward and doing a slow run is going to be better than doing no run.
Yeah. We were talking about gatekeeping earlier, and I think that that's something that had stopped me for a while of getting started. This idea of, I need to get the new phone with the different camera system. I need to get that. I need to go and buy all this lighting. I need to buy these microphones. And I am in a fortunate position where I was able to just kind of sort that stuff out pretty quickly. But it was like one of those things where it almost felt like a daunting task. And to start that, do I really want to put that out there? And then you kind of stop and you realize that some of my favorite content creators are in a cabin in the woods somewhere, and they don't have all the microphone setups, or they have a studio, but they still do content when they don't have the setup.
Yeah, they're just using their phone.
They're just using their phone, and people don't complain about the audio quality. It's about the message. It's about the connection. Just use whatever you have and do that and see how you get on.
Absolutely.
Get on the road.
Yeah, just start. Yeah, cool. Okay. Any other questions for me before we start to wrap this sucker up?
I think that was perfect.
Okay, cool. Thanks for listening to another episode of Don't Quote Me. We're going to be posting on both of our channels when it comes to this stuff. If you haven't started following Time to Live Again, it's at Time to Live Again on Instagram. There's also a website, same name. There's also a TikTok, same name. Do you have YouTube too yet?
I do now.
You do now. Yeah, there's also YouTube. So there's on any of the social channels, Time to Live Again. Definitely go follow Brendon over here. Dude, thanks for doing this.
Thank you.